Parents are starting to raise some serious questions about the kind of company Erika Kirk is keeping around her family, especially after seeing several controversial pastors appear alongside her on the Make Heaven Crowded tour. And for critics, this goes beyond people simply having messy reputations. Some pastors have faced serious allegations or public controversy, and that has people asking why Erika would choose to connect her platform and bring her family into the same wider circles without giving a clearer explanation. But instead of directly addressing those concerns, critics say Erika seems more focused on pushing back against the people questioning her choices. From their point of view, she's framing the criticism as an attack and presenting herself as the one being unfairly targeted. And that's where things get even more heated. If parents and viewers genuinely have questions about who is connected to these events, they want to know why Erika appears so defensive instead of simply laying the situation out clearly. What exactly is behind these connections, and why have these particular figures been welcomed into her circle? Because when you really look at who Erika has been standing beside on this tour, the questions get a whole lot harder to brush off. And here's what made the situation blow up so quickly. The Make Heaven Crowded tour barely made it through its first stop before people were already side-eyeing some of Erika's choices. The tour kicked off on January 21st, 2026 at Harvest Church in Riverside, California, with Greg Laurie appearing as one of the speakers. You would think Erika would want the opening night of a tour centered on faith and bringing people closer to God to go as smoothly as possible, right? Instead, Laurie's involvement quickly became part of the controversy. At the time, reports and accusations circulating publicly alleged that Laurie, his church, and associates were facing claims connected to at least 22 alleged victims and accusations involving complicity in sex trafficking in Romania. Those are allegations, not established facts, but they were serious enough to have critics asking, "This is the person you picked for the opening night?" And then the situation outside Harvest Church got even messier. Protesters actually showed up, and Greg Laurie wasn't the only person catching heat. Erika was being called out too, with demonstrators accusing her of pushing hate, supporting genocide, and treating Turning Point USA like her own personal platform. Those were the protesters' accusations, but their presence made one thing impossible to miss. Controversy was already following this tour from stop number one.
Her message is a singular message. It is the Christian right. It is supporting MAGA. It is the ridiculous pageantry of Charlie Kirk's death.
So now, Erika's big faith tour had protesters outside the church, controversy tied to one of its featured speakers, and Erika herself getting pulled straight into the backlash. And that was only the first stop. Things got even more interesting when it became clear that some of the tension surrounding the tour wasn't just coming from critics outside TPUSA. Questions were reportedly starting to surface from within the organizations involved, putting even more attention on Erika's leadership and the direction of the tour. Just about a month after protesters appeared outside Harvest Church, another Make Heaven Crowded event was scheduled for February 25th, 2026, at First Baptist Orlando. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the event disappeared from the schedule. TPUSA Faith and First Baptist Orlando reportedly removed it from their calendars, explaining that the event was no longer a strategic fit. That explanation might have shut down the chatter, but then reports emerged that someone inside the church had been asking some uncomfortable questions. Chris Ogden, a campus pastor at First Baptist, reportedly challenged church leadership during a staff meeting, questioning whether hosting a politically charged TPUSA event really made sense when the tour was being presented as something centered on faith. Suddenly, this wasn't just outside protesters making noise. Reported concerns were also coming from inside the church itself. But get this. Instead of that disagreement staying behind closed doors as a normal internal conversation, Ogden was reportedly placed on administrative leave and required to issue a video apology. A worship leader also resigned, and Ogden eventually stepped down from his position as well. So now critics weren't only questioning the people Erika chose to stand beside. They were also watching people inside these circles push back against the direction of certain events. And when an internal disagreement reportedly ends with leave, an apology, and resignations, people are naturally going to ask what exactly was happening behind the scenes. By this point, the controversy had also expanded beyond pastors and church leadership. Concerns were being raised about some TPUSA-affiliated events involving students, putting parental access and transparency under an even bigger spotlight.
I did 12 chapters, and only 7 of them were actually real. The other 5, I found out the previous field rep's family members had pretended to open up a chapter.
At a February 12th school board meeting, a local Maryland community member named Nancy raised concerns about a December TPUSA-affiliated event held at a Maryland high school. She said parents and legal guardians weren't allowed to attend and argued that keeping them out raised questions about student safety, parental rights, and transparency. Those were her claims, but they added another layer to the growing debate around these events. She even claimed that Child Protective Services had been notified, which immediately made the situation sound a whole lot more serious. But that was her statement, and it doesn't by itself establish that any wrongdoing actually occurred. Still, this criticism surrounding Erika was becoming increasingly personal. People weren't only questioning the pastors appearing alongside her or raising concerns about TPUSA-affiliated school events. They were also publicly questioning how she balanced frequent travel and public appearances with raising her own children. Then another detail had critics raising their eyebrows. A documentary examining TPUSA alleged that the organization deliberately focused on high schools and college campuses while making its youth presence appear larger than it really was. According to claims presented in the documentary, TPUSA's chapter map allegedly included questionable or inaccurate addresses, including locations connected to abandoned schools and schools where the filmmakers said no TPUSA chapter had actually existed.
Count it all joy. Being persecuted and lied about, count it all joy. You're being slandered, count it all joy.
If accurate, those allegations would raise some major questions about how the organization represented its reach among young people, but they remain claims that should be weighed against TPUSA's own records and response. Some students even reportedly said they felt pressured into listing or registering TPUSA as part of their extracurricular activities, despite claiming they had little or no real interest in the organization. With allegations like these piling up, the scrutiny around Erika became even more intense. Critics also began pointing to what they saw as distance between Erika and some major Christian evangelical platforms, although that alone doesn't prove those organizations were deliberately avoiding her. Then fast forward to April, when Erika appeared at the Pastor Summit in Grapevine, Texas. This wasn't technically another stop on the Make Heaven Crowded tour. It was a separate event hosted by TPUSA Faith, where Erika delivered a speech. But here's the detail that caught people's attention. Coverage of other speakers could be found on the TPUSA Faith YouTube channel, while Erika's full speech did not appear to be publicly posted there at the time being discussed. That raised an obvious question among viewers. Why was her full appearance seemingly missing when other speakers received coverage? And considering that some clips of Erika's appearance circulating online weren't exactly getting the warmest reception, people quickly started noticing that her full speech seemed to be missing. One clip in particular got people talking because Erika tells the audience about what she describes as a real experience from her own life.
Many of you feel like a revival broke out. And since then, the enemy, the devil himself, I feel as if he's unleashed all the demons all over the place to hijack this revival.
But while sharing this deeply personal story, she appears to be reading the whole thing directly from a sheet of paper. Then the energy suddenly shifts. Erika becomes visibly intense as she delivers the message, telling the audience to count it all joy. That contrast between reading the personal story and then turning up the emotion became another detail critics immediately zeroed in on. Then April 29th happened, and this is where Erika appeared to switch from defending herself to firing back at her critics. She had been scheduled to speak at another Make Heaven Crowded event at Preston Baptist Church in Texas, but instead of appearing, she canceled and posted a video explaining her decision. And this wasn't exactly a quiet response meant to cool down the controversy. In the video, Erika went directly after the people she believed were attacking her and her work. She called them demons, accused them of trying to derail her work and her mission, and made it clear that she wasn't planning to let the criticism slow her down. Instead of answering every question being raised about the tour, she seemed to frame the growing backlash as opposition to the mission itself. And that's the part that left people seriously confused. If parents, church members, and other critics were raising concerns about the people Erika was choosing to associate with, wouldn't you expect her to address those questions directly? Instead, Erika appeared to treat much of the criticism as an attack on her broader mission, rather than publicly responding point by point to what people were saying. Then came her explanation that she was stepping back to spend more time with her family.
I wish I could be there with you tonight. I'm really grateful that you came out to be a part of the Make Heaven Crowded tour. This night is about one thing: lifting up the name of Jesus.
On its face, that sounds completely reasonable. But given everything happening around the tour, critics started wondering whether the growing backlash had also played a role. That was speculation, of course, but the timing had people talking. Now, Erika had canceled an appearance, fired back at critics, and cited family time as a reason for stepping away. Naturally, that left people wondering what else might have been happening behind the scenes. And then things got even stranger because after canceling that appearance, Erika also didn't show up for the July 7th, 2026 event at Livingston's church. And then Erika wasn't physically there for the August 5th event at Dream City Church either. Instead of walking out in front of the crowd, attendees were shown a pre-recorded video, and that appearance immediately kicked off a whole new wave of speculation online. Some viewers even started debating whether the video had been altered or possibly AI generated. Why? Critics pointed out that Erika seemed noticeably more animated than she had in some of her previous videos. Her facial expressions, delivery, and overall presentation looked different enough to get people talking. Of course, looking different on camera isn't proof that AI was involved, but that didn't stop viewers from closely picking apart the footage and asking what exactly they were watching. So by this point, Erika had canceled tour stops, missed multiple appearances, and even had people online debating whether a pre-recorded video actually looked and sounded like her. The conversation was no longer focused only on the pastors appearing around her. Critics started asking what, if anything, was happening behind the scenes. And some of that speculation shifted toward her family and children. That's where things got especially sensitive.
You're victimizing the victim, if that makes sense, because at the end of the day, she did lose her husband. She lost her kids. Like, I was just with her at the White House, and she's, that's anyone. If that happened to your wife, my husband, like, it's devastating.
Some people online began raising the possibility of Child Protective Services becoming involved, although speculation alone does not mean CPS actually opened a case or found any wrongdoing. Comments attributed to Representative Anna Paulina Luna also fueled online theories about Erika potentially facing some kind of custody issue, but those claims need solid evidence before being treated as fact. That's a massive jump from simply criticizing a church tour, and it shows just how intense the conversation around Erika has become. But with serious claims and online speculation getting mixed together, one uncomfortable question is still hanging over this entire situation. What, if anything, actually warrants intervention? And where's the evidence? At the end of the day, there's a big difference between legitimate concerns, public allegations, and rumors spreading online, and that line matters. Erika's tour has faced canceled appearances, protests, controversies surrounding certain speakers, internal disagreements, and plenty of speculation about what might be happening behind the scenes. But when the conversation starts involving someone's children, CPS, or possible custody issues, those claims need real evidence before anybody treats them like established facts. Still, the questions surrounding Erika's public choices aren't disappearing anytime soon. Why did certain appearances fall through? Why did she respond so aggressively to some of her critics? And why have so many controversies followed a tour that was supposed to be focused on faith? Those are questions viewers will have to weigh against the available evidence instead of automatically believing every rumor flying around online. Now, I want to hear what you think. Are people raising fair questions about Erika and the company she keeps? Or has the internet taken this controversy way too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments and keep it respectful. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to see the full story. And turn on notifications so you don't miss what we cover next.